Hey there, it's Buddy, Midland, Texas. Today is April 14th, 2019. I haven't done a go live in a little bit, and so I wanted to come on here, and if get anybody in here wants to ask some questions, then I'll try to answer them. I've got huge news, and I've had this for a while, and I've kind of hinted that that this was coming out. Basically, what's gone on, and I wrote it here. I just did a Facebook post called "Secret Police Surprise." Okay, and if you read that, I explain to you, probably in more detail exactly what's gone on. But basically, I was ambushed and shot inside my home after over a year of burglaries to my house, calling the police, the Texas Rangers, the FBI, etc., and that whole story. Well, I get out of the hospital, and I knew I was shot with burglar alarms going off, and I had told Detective Rodriguez at the emergency room, proof was at my house. That proof was a voice recorder that had recorded the burglar alarms going off in my attic over and over and over, okay? And so... And what they did, they come to my house and stole the proof. I post about that all the time. The last known person to have proof of this capital murder that I told the police about was April Chandler. She wrote on an information report that I was never supposed to see that she had found it inside my closet. That's right where I said it was. And she said it was checked into evidence, but the evidence logs shows that it's not here. Okay, so it was stolen. Possibly a guy named Matt Davis stole it, because he later quit the police force during the same month as the protective order here. But anyway, back to the story here. In April, in 2012, after I'm shot, I had a private investigator. Actually, she's now a Judge Billingsley, Sarah Billingsley. She was my attorney that recommended by Amy Kernan. And I went over and talked to her, and she recommended this private investigator, and Larry Carlisle. And he's the one that, suggested getting these police records and the medical records, etc. And is the one who got me the paperwork to do that. Okay, so I ordered all the police. And like in April of 2012, I've got the police reports in from the assistant city attorney, which was John Omaha or whatever Omaha or whatever his name is, and they come in, and I've got the document, and basically, and I've listed them here. I got reports for 12912, 13012, 13112, 2112. Okay, I didn't get one for 12812, and that's the night I was shot. Okay, so the assumption was, I was shot at, crawling out at 10:42. So it was only an hour and a half is when I become, is the day changed to January 29th, And I did get a police report for January 29th, and it showed no police at my house. The only entry was an entry the next day at like, it was 7 o'clock at night or whatever, no police. But my camera here at the house in my bedroom, and y'all have seen this many times, showed pictures, and what happened in the log file shows at 3:15 a.m. they tried to disable the camera, and they accidentally started. They rebooted my computer to disable the camera, and rebooting it started my camera because I had it set to start on reboot. Okay, you didn't have to log in. It's called run as a service. And so they unknowingly started the camera that caught them. Okay. And so I get back, I've got the pictures of the police in my house. I didn't think nothing about it at first until I got the police reports. And when I got the police reports, I'm going, wait a minute, there's police here. There's no police on the police report. Okay. And so the police inside my house on 12912, I post that police report and then the timestamp pictures. And so here I've got police and I can't get them identified. That should never happen, ever. Okay. Police don't get to come in your house because they want to. Okay. There's going to be a record of it. Okay. And so this is not one mistake. There's a whole bunch of them, right? I mean, it wasn't one cop forgot to put his name down, okay? And so here I'm trying to get them identified, right? And that's when I nicknamed them the Secret Police. They're world famous. I've made videos. People all over the world, different countries, have seen in Midland, Texas, Secret Police, okay? And they've been compared, I said it many, many times, it's the first known secret police since Nazi Germany, okay? And so I sent these pictures to the chief of police. I sent them to the mayor, to the city council. I sent them to the attorney general. I sent them to the press all over the place because I got the police reports and got the pictures, and I have police I can't identify in my house. And I survived a murder attempt. Now remember, I have absolute proof that I wasn't shot with my gun. And if I ain't shot with my gun, then that means I was shot with another gun, and that means somebody came to my home and shot me, okay? And that's capital attempted murder because they shot me during the commission of a felony of burglary, and I've been reporting burglaries for over a year, okay? And so anyways, then this protective order is filed 2 years later, okay? And by the ex-wife, and the facts on there, I hadn't seen or talked to her in a year and a half, okay? And she lived 100 miles away in Lubbock, and she files this protective order to me. Well, that's pretty much absurd anyway. Nobody needs protection from somebody that lives 100 miles away that you hadn't seen or talked to in a year and a half, right? I mean, that's not what the idea of a protective order is, okay? But it got done, okay? And so basically there was 2 emails, okay? And that's pretty much what it was over, 2 emails sent in this 18-month period. First email was me, where I sent her, it was a short message, and I said, what do you know about my mom's death? Okay, because my mom died the month before I was ambushed and shot, and I found out I was lied to, and I believe then, I believe now that she knows something about that. Okay, and then the second email that I sent her contained a print screen or a copy of a conversation with her former boyfriend named Arthur Welch. Okay, he had contacted me about 8 months after the murder attempt. And he said, do you think she had anything to do with the shooting? And I said, well, I don't think she was in town. I think she's in Lubbock. And I said, but I think she knows who did. And I said, all I know to do is pray for her, etc. And he writes back and he says, well, I think she had a lot to do with it from the things she told me, and she threatened to have me killed too. Okay, so I have a print screen of her saying that, ex-wife. Okay, and she had taken my life insurance booklets when we separated, because I was shot 5 days after I filed for divorce. We'd separated less than a month, and she took them life insurance booklets, without my knowledge. Okay, so now she's alleged to be involved in the shooting. This is who filed the protective order on me. And so I had to go to court. And so I presented that in court with an email that she's alleged to be involved in the shooting. Okay. And so anyway, before this, and here's the reason I told this story about that. It's because my attorney subpoenaed all police records. She filled out the subpoena word, got it signed off by a judge, give us all the records. Okay. So we've got all the records. They were printed off by Rosa Rodriguez, the childhood friend of the ex-wife. Okay. That met me at the 7-Eleven. Rosa Rodriguez is this one that I told at the hospital. Proof is at my house, and that proof was the voice recorder recorded the burglar alarms going off, and I talked about a minute ago, the last person to have it was April Chandler, okay, and she said it was checked into evidence, but it wasn't, so she lied, and it's been stolen by the police. So proof I told them about in a capital attempted murder was stolen, and I told Rodriguez about it, and Rodriguez was the childhood friend of the ex-wife, okay, and so anyways, Rodriguez printed out all the police reports. We got them here. And once again, I got the same police reports. I named them a while ago, 12912, 13012. And I listed each one on there. No police report for 12812. And you don't know that you don't have something if you don't have it, right? I mean, that's why I nicknamed them the secret police. And then I'm sending their pictures to the police department, to the sheriff, and to the attorney general, for Paxton, the Texas attorney general, and then I'm offering a reward. Never happened before in the history of America has a citizen offered a reward to identify police caught on camera in a murder attempt. Okay, and so here's the new news and where we're getting to with all that. 2 times I requested these police reports. I didn't get one. Well, there was a number reference I noticed that I didn't have a police report for, okay? And then a friend recently said, yeah, you can go online and fill out a form and you can request police reports. So I thought, oh, I'm going to do that, and this was what I did recently. I took that number I found that I didn't know what it was, and I put it in there and sent it to the city of Midland, and I got a police report back for January 28, 2012, the night that I was shot, okay? And so now I have names, okay? So what is the secret police? Ain't secret. Okay, ain't that incredible? But let me tell you what's even more incredible, right? I offered that reward for $2,000, and 6 years later, a private investigator company, Empire Private Investigations, took the case, and they identified all 11. I paid them $2,000, okay? It's cost me just a fortune. You should never, no citizen ever should have to pay to get police identified, right? So that's where I have a second video called, I had secret police that I didn't know who they were, and then I made a second one called Secret Police Identified because a private investigator identified them. And that's when I found out John Woodward from Martin County was the first one that showed up. He was followed by Mike Naylor, the late sheriff deputy, that's no longer alive, died in 2014. Another one inside my house was Chad Simpson. He's the cop that murdered his wife and killed himself in 2014. All this come from the private investigator. Well, the police report that I got doesn't show them on there. Okay? And my private investigator here has found a witness that'll say Chad told him he was in my house. And there's a picture of a guy with a Midland K-9 police jacket, and Chad was a Midland K-9 police officer. So all of a sudden, it still don't add up. The number of people that's on camera, who they say was in here, who the private investigator says, we still have secret police even now. But what we found out, they made a total mockery of the whole justice system, really. I mean, this whole thing, this is a capital attempted murder. I'm home minding my own business. They come to my home with guns, cut my phone line, shot me with a special ammunition to make it look like I was shot with a shotgun, which would have added another $500,000 onto the benefit. But God saved my life and I didn't die and I crawled out. Okay, but this premeditated murder is what this was. Okay, and then as I said, the police stole the evidence that I told them about, and they withheld this report. Okay, here's what happened. 3 days after I'm shot on February 1st, 2012, I'm in the hospital. I already had that first surgery, and Detective Rosa Rodriguez, the childhood friend of the ex-wife, they went to grade school together, and I didn't know that at the time, of course. It comes by the hospital with the consent to search form, okay? And there was another guy with her, another detective or high up, policeman. And she wanted me to sign this consent to search, pretending they were going to go to my house and start the investigation, okay? Well, I didn't know they had already been in my house. I'm there. I've been waiting, I'm really, after here, even though I'm shot and the police showed up, I was kind of relieved that finally the crimes were over, okay? Because it'd been 14 months of break-ins to my home and terrorism, and it's just unimaginable. And I really thought the police were just incompetent. I never suspected that they were dirty or involved in covering up capital crimes, And so, anyways, what I do is I had hand-drawn maps for possible entrance locations of the house, and she's going to check them. She was pretending, they were going to go to my house, and they were going to start the investigation. She didn't know they'd been caught on camera, okay? I didn't know they'd already been in my house, okay? And of course, they were withholding that police report for me, so nobody would ever know that, okay? So, so what really was happening, they had the bomb squad with them, and because it wasn't safe in Buddy's house. So what they're trying to do, not only were they making up all these lies and creating this, they're making up lies calling me crazy, okay? And here I'm the victim of a capital attempted murder. That's proven without a doubt, okay? And that's what they're doing to cover up this capital attempted murder. You got Rodriguez personally calling the hospital trying to get me committed. You got April Chandler over here makes a permanent record calling me a paranoid schizophrenic, and I wasn't diagnosed with that disease, don't have it. I'm a crime victim, okay? In fact, I was cleared by mental health at the hospital, okay, because of these ludicrous, accusations. Because, I'm the crime victim. I was home minding my own business. These people came to my home and shot me. Now we got multiple people saying there's tunnels, underground facilities here, and all the proofs showing I wasn't shot with my gun. And what that illustrates there is this whole thing was a con job, is what it was. And that was further. They never planned on me finding out that they had been to my house, okay? And so it was all covered up. That really what I believe is they didn't plan on me living, okay? And so then they had to start coming up with, things to do when I crawled out and lived. And so then the one thing, the police come over to steal the evidence because they knew if I ever proved I wasn't shot with my gun, it makes it a murder attempt. And I have already proved that. Now they just ignore it. And they're so powerful, they have stopped free press in America because I have absolute undeniable proof that I wasn't shot with my gun. And that makes this a capital murder attempt. I have undeniable proof they stole the evidence I told them about, okay? But the press is not reporting this. They're not warning anybody. And, and I've said this before, if Sandra Simpson, the wife of Chad Simpson, and Chad murdered Sandra, if she didn't get any warning, if they would have reported what we know now, then Sandra might have got a heads up. She might be alive today, right? But so the press being a party to covering up these capital crimes, home invasions, theft, and the attempted murder, and most likely the murder of the last homeowner, then she might be alive. Okay, and I want to go over some of these names here that I've got them down here, and I've posted this. Okay, because some of them I don't even know. And, okay, Here's the names found on the new report that I just found, okay? April Chandler, Rosa Rodriguez, Tony Dickey's a lieutenant, Greg Chatwell, he's a sergeant, Marty Barrett, the crime scene investigator. And all along I'm saying, no, crime scene investigators out of my house, there ain't no police report. Well, there is a police report, I just didn't know about it, okay? You see what a mockery they made of the whole justice system? Well, here's somebody we did know, Dylan Hale, that's a new name. Joe Rameriz, didn't know that one, okay? And a guy named Kenny Angel, Angell. Never heard of this guy before in my life until I got these new police report. And Matt Davis seems to be a main player, okay? I mean, he's the one that quit the police force after 12 years on the same month as that protective order here. But then we have the names from the private investigator, right? And I paid $2,000 for them, and I expect $2,000 worth of good names, right? Right, exactly. April Chandler, Rosa Rodriguez, these are the same ones. Tony Dickey, Marty Barrett, Greg Chatwell, they're the same ones. But here's where we get into the different names. He says a Greg Nelson. I don't know who Greg Nelson is. He says Chad Simpson, and I think Chad Simpson's right. There's a guy there with a Midland K9 police jacket, right? Chad goes on to murder his wife. I think it's right. Mike Naylor being the second one, he's saying, I think that's right too, because them first two cars that showed up, I had already figured out that them look like sheriff cars. They don't look like Midland police, okay? They look like sheriff, you know? And they were Martin County Sheriff and Midland County Sheriff, okay? And then a Mark Gillihan. I have no idea who that is. Never got any information on Michael Glick. I was told one of them come out of Eunice, and that would make this a federal case because all of a sudden we got one of them from a different state, okay? And then John Woodward, and that's incredible in itself because that was at the time a Martin County Sheriff that was, you know, that ended up marrying Devin Sanchez, a reporter that's on CBS 7 News. And maybe that's why CBS 7 News has censored this news story about this secret police gang, okay? And so here we are. It's even more confusing now because who are secret police, who's not secret police, who exactly is in the pictures? Was Empire Private Investigations right? Here's the new. Who's responsible for withholding this report? And more than that, the protective order hearing. And obviously, I've cashed out my 401k and paid for that so we could appeal it. Okay, it cost me tens of thousands of dollars. Okay, and keep in mind, I would never charge with a crime. This is a protective order. Okay, I didn't plead guilty, not guilty. I wasn't charged, arrested, nothing. Okay, and hi Mary, and you know, this was a protective order here, and then I appealed it and cost me all this money. Well, if I'd had the police reports that we had subpoenaed before, I'm sure it would be a different outcome. So it affected the court. It made a mockery out of a court system because they were covering up this murder attempt is what they're doing. And you know, and that's why they stole evidence, why they planted evidence, why they withheld the report. And remember I mentioned the consent to search form that I signed? Rosa Rodriguez did not turn that in for evidence until 5 months later. Okay, and obviously the only reason that she ever did that was because she had already seen on Facebook that they'd been caught on camera. Okay, and so all of a sudden, you know, the ruse was over. You know, but all this time they've hung on to nothing, to threads. You know, and have allowed these would-be killers go free because somebody planned my murder in advance. They shot me, you know, the surgeon report says that he removed a lot of plastic. Well, they shot me with a bullet. It was a plastic-tipped, pellet-filled bullet. They had a special ammunition to kill me and make my murder look like an accident. That's premeditation, okay? Besides, I'm home minding my own business and they come to my home to shoot me, okay? If they didn't like me, don't come to my home, right? You know, I mean, that's what you do. But you don't. If you come to my home, that shows premeditation because you come to my home to kill me. And that makes you the most dangerous killer on the planet. Because don't think that they hadn't killed other people, right? And I think what we're going to find, especially when we go through the names, and I maybe I have access, maybe I don't, but somebody needs to look at Mike Lawhunt, okay? The previous homeowner that died 2 weeks before I moved in here. 27 years old, right? 2 little boys. 2 weeks before I come into this, you know, transferred into town, bought this home from the widow, he dies, okay? Supposedly an accidental overdose. Well, you know, I've already shown many times over the evidence I found. The Odessa American posted a death notice for him on October 14, 2008, saying he died in Fort Worth. 4 days later, they post a second death notice, and they changed the location to death to say he died at his residence. Okay, that was an accident. That didn't accidentally happen. Somebody had to make that happen, do that reposting of the location of death, okay? And why did they do that? I believe because he was killed here. Because my neighbor that lived directly across the street, Marilyn DeLuigi, lived at 3803. She moved since, but had told me twice that Mike died in my house. And one time she looked at me and says, I should know, right? And she also said somebody else died here before him, okay? And I wondered if that wasn't Rini Escobar Sanchez. Then there's another guy, Aaron Packelhofer, okay, online one day. He asked me if I know the names of the 4 people that had been murdered, died in my home, okay? Well, I mean, I didn't know any of them, okay? But here, somebody needs to go back and take a look. One more piece of important part of this Michael Lawhon story is that on the day that I looked at this house, October 1st, 2008, with my realtor, Janine Pruitt, I took pictures as I walked through. Them pictures are on my Facebook, okay? And they're dated in an album I got there, and you can look through them. It's interesting. But I got a picture of the back door, and that's important because it's a timestamp picture of the back door, and the back door was fine, okay? 28 days later, I met the home inspector here named Perkins Brazier, okay? And it was free because I had a relocation agreement with my company, and that's why I did it. And so I drove over and I met him, and we looked at it, and what we found was where the doorknob was at 28 days earlier, there was a big hole. Somebody had kicked in the door, okay? Brute force kicked in their way into that back door into this house. And now it's coming from the garage, but obviously they got in the garage and then kicked their way into the house. And that's a proven fact. It's listed, it's documented on the home inspection report. So I have absolute undeniable proof that a brute force home invasion happened during the month of October 2008, and Michael Lawhon died that month, okay? And like I said, 2 different death notices, okay? And then another interesting thing is is that the 2008 also started a week afterwards. Well, it's suspected the underground facility that I was told was here, okay, and multiple people have said was here. I recorded a woman on the phone telling me it's 4 3-bedroom underground homes, 25 foot deep, each cost $1 million. Have reason to believe that's where they were having oil show parties at. The Permian Basin oil show happens every 2 years. The parties are famous, wild, and I was told in 2010 about a young girl being murdered at one because she refused to prostitute. My friend was there and told me that, okay? And she would be at my house and leave and go to that party and be there in 5 minutes, okay? I think it was in the underground facility that I've been told by multiple people that's by this house, okay? So it makes sense that if they're having the oil show parties in this $1 million underground facility in 2010, they were also doing it in 2008. And like I said, that oil show started the week after Mike Lawhon died. And I think that's probably important. I think that's probably a factor of Mike Lawhon dying. The other thing, I got multiple people saying there's underground facility and tunnels here. And the previous homeowner living in this house, Ricky Ronaldo, writes me. He says, I used to live in that house. And I said, oh, yeah? And he said, yeah, when I was a kid, he said, me and my brother used to go in the tunnels under that house. I print screened it. Okay. Another woman, Rhonda Denman Rogers, and we're talking on Facebook. And I said, there's an underground facility somewhere near here. And she writes back and goes, I know, it's a half block away. Okay. Print screened it. Got it with her name on it. Okay. Multiple people. And Serenity, I'm looking at your message and talking at the same time. But thank you. Please do ask on that. And I appreciate anybody asking questions and telling this story. And because it's important. Because I sincerely believe that they killed the last homeowner, okay, Mike Lawhon. And it looks like they killed that young girl. I got Aaron Packelhofer says that 4 people murdered died in this house. Okay, Marilyn DeLuigi said that Mike Lawhon died here. Somebody else died before him. And we know for a fact that somebody shot me in my home, okay? And I mean, it's 100% absolute fact. I mean, I wasn't shot with my gun. I'm shot from 2 inches above ground level. I had called the Midland DEA and then the El Paso DEA and reported a suspected tunnel from my company's cell phone number 432-209-6494. Check the phone records and verify the story right there. You're going to find that I called the DEA and I reported a suspected tunnel. Okay, and so all this is verifiable. Like I said, I'm showing the police reports, the medical reports, the ballistic evidence, the recorded phone calls, the screenshot. This whole story doesn't even require me. Even if they kill me, they could arrest people, as far as I'm concerned. And so that's really what I wanted to go over today. That was the new report. There's a couple things on here that show message, okay, and basically one thing that was interesting, Matt Davis, okay, and Matt Davis, when I researched him, I found out we had a lot of common friends from my hometown of Hobbs, New Mexico. Okay, remember, he's the cop that quit, and he's also the one that April Chandler said that she found my voice recorder in my closet and it was checked into evidence. Well, she at the same time she said she found my .22 gun and my .22 rifle. Well, Matt Davis checked in my .22 gun, my .22 rifle, and the voice recorder wasn't checked in. So it's possible that April Chandler gave it to her boss, to Matt Davis, thinking he was going to check it in as evidence, okay? And he sticky fingers did the pocket, no, that's going to prove a murder attempt, and he pocketed it. And then when we come into the protective order hearing, and I'm showing where the boyfriend saying the ex-wife's involved in the shooting, threatened to have him killed and all that, then he quits the police force, right? And so, I think Matt Davis, it looks like, is a major player here. Also, I have a video called 22 Seconds, okay? And basically what that's about is 5 weeks before the murder attempt, the police were called to my house by the ex-wife, okay? And so when they get here, they handcuff me and take me into a car and put me in the backseat of the car. And when they go to do it, there's a bag of marijuana laying in the seat of the car, okay? And they never mentioned that they were going to frame me, but the threat of being framed for drugs was real obvious. I'm then told that we better not be called here again for this stuff. And this stuff was my repeated calls for the break-ins, the burglaries of my house, that I believe that was connected with prostitution or human trafficking, okay? And so I get back into my house that night, and the ex-wife's there, and that's when I called it quits, okay? And that was December 20th, 2011. And remember, I'm shot January 28th, so it's right at, 5 weeks later, I'm shot. Well, that's when she tells me, she said, we're creating a document trail on you, okay, right after the police raid, okay? And then the second thing she said, Danny said, we'll just take your house, okay? Well, my brother's name is Danny, okay, and he hasn't helped me, I know that, but I just can't imagine my brother was, involved in trying to kill me, and so I've been looking for another Danny, because I asked him, did you say that? No, and, no, I don't know anything about it, okay? And so, anyways, document trail, that on police records, I see entries were called XREF. That means cross-reference. And they were made within a 22-second period. So less than an hour after I shot, some unknown police officer makes 3 XREFs in 22 seconds. Okay? And they referenced a gun call, etc. I'm suspecting that was done because the document trail. I believe that was the document trail. Because I don't think that they could go through that and look all that up and do that in 22 seconds. I think it was pre-planned, and I'd already been told there was a document trail. And obviously the document trail was to murder me, okay? Because my phone line's cut and I'm shot. And so there's another video there on 22 seconds. Maybe Matt Davis did that, because I found out Matt Davis, I didn't know that until I got this police report, tried to get a hold of the ex-wife, okay? And so that's on here. So then there's a couple thing here that shows messages, numbers, and I'm trying to get it, and I've put in the request, and I feel like I'm getting the runaround. And, first of all, I'm supposed to have all this information already. What I got was redacted. I've got stuff where they blocked stuff out. Like, I know the name of the guy. When I pulled up at the 7-Eleven, I just found this out. The name of the guy, when I drove up to 7-Eleven, just been shot, rolled down my window, said, call the police, I've been shot. Well, I just found out what his name was, Kevin Turner, okay? But his number is blocked out, so I can't get a hold of it. Well, we had subpoenaed this document before court, so we could get a hold of him, call him, and then we could prove that Rodriguez said she wasn't even there when she was the one that climbed in my truck. April Chandler said she was there. They both lied. That'd been a major factor in that protective order case when I showed that Rosa Rodriguez was lying. Not to mention the tripwire lie, right? And I've talked about the tripwire lie. The only person out of a dozen police that say anything about a tripwire is Rosa Rodriguez, the friend of the ex-wife, right? And there's no pictures of a tripwire. There's no tripwire in evidence, okay? And more than that, I wasn't shot with my own gun. There was no tripwire. I wasn't shot with my gun, okay? Rosa Rodriguez made up that lie, and she testified in that protective order here. I got a lifetime ruling over. cashed out my 401k and had to appeal it, and then they upheld the ruling. The whole thing is a mockery of the entire justice system, because right now the people that planned my death, bought special bullets to kill me with, they're still free, and most likely killed the last guy, and who knows how many people they've killed. And so that's another big thing that I'm waiting for. Another thing, in information report, supplement number 2 was missing. I requested it, and they sent me the same thing I got the first time. Missing supplement number 2. Okay? Because I can tell, that you got supplement number 1, right? And you got supplement number 3, but you don't have supplement number 2, right? So, and there's like 12 supplements. So supplement number 2 is missing. And that's what I asked for, because I got all the other ones, and they sent me the same thing again. So I'm still doing that, and I'm hoping, that I don't have to go get an attorney to figure out how we can get records that I'm supposed to have in the first place, so we can get the truth to come out, so we can stop these people that are rigging homes to break into homes, steal, and kill homeowners. And so, anyway, anybody got any questions, comments? Kenny Angle. Anybody know him? I don't know that guy. That's a new name to me. Private investigator didn't call that name out. I did. That's one person I did contact. Dylan, Hale, Joe Rameriz, and these people I didn't know that was at my house. And so it's really amazing. I've got to make another video, and I'm gonna have this one, and maybe I'll just use this one, and to explain what's going on. But it's still ongoing. There's still messages here that I haven't gotten. Okay. And the supplement number 2 I haven't gotten, and nobody's ever explained. Nobody's still to this day, how come the private investigators, the pictures, and the police reports are not matching up? Okay, somebody needs to come in here, and more than that, nobody's ever explained how come I have proof of a capital attempted murder and we're not doing anything about it, right? And I've had my life destroyed in every possible way you imagine. I live under a death threat every day, and I'm trying to stop it. I posted it recently. That here I'm speaking out and trying to stop these people, so maybe they don't come to your house and kill you and your family. I moved to Midland with hope and excitement. I really was sincerely excited. I bought this home, man. I worked and remodeled it, and it was truly the American dream. I paid cash for it, and I really had a lot of hope for the future. And it's been a nightmare that won't stop, and it's gone on. It was 8 years ago when I made my first call for a felony burglary. And the last burglar alarm went off the house was a couple days ago. I didn't even post it, because I post so many. I've got many times the burglar alarms go off that I make videos and I don't post it. And there's sometimes I don't make a video, okay? And more than that, I hear them moving around every single day, okay? Besides them setting burglar alarms off, so I have a record and I have this long list of proofs, And so, I don't know what else to say. 2013, the remains of a young girl were found. Okay, I suspect it's the girl I was told about that was killed in the 2010 oil show party. And I have that story online called Rape and Murder. My friend that I worked with at Clay Desk at the time, these 2 guys approached her, okay, and they told her that she was going to be working, okay, and we now can be real sure that these aren't the people that you don't tell no to, okay, because like this young girl, okay, that didn't want to prostitute, she had a choice, right? You either do it or die, okay, and she chose death, obviously, okay, and so you can't sit here and be judgmental. There was a lot of other people here. I know they were. And I think more people would speak up, but they're afraid to because of the police corruption and because of the public officials that are above even the police that are protecting these crimes, because this should have been over a long time ago. Everybody's looking at this and they freaking out because here's all this evidence, proof of murder attempt, nothing's happening. They don't want to say anything. They're scared. I don't blame them, okay? And so I know a lot of people, other people were there, and I don't sit there and point no finger at them because they didn't choose to die like that little girl did, okay? And one other thing I know that was happening, because I was talking to her on the phone. My phone records will prove this. You can go back on phone record and find out how long I was talking to her, look the numbers up, all that stuff. And at 11 o'clock, she put me on hold, and she'd have to go take her pill. They were drugging these women and whoever else is there, women and children, probably men too, I don't know. And but at 11 o'clock, okay, then she would get sleepy. She would fall asleep about midnight or whatever. We'd get off the phone, right? And then the next day, then she'd show up in the morning here at my house, and we would drive to work, okay? And so at work one day, at break right there, I hear one of our contract employees, one of our landman that worked for us, this woman, and she asked her while I was standing there, she says, "What time did you get home last night?" And she looked back and she says, "About 3 o'clock." You know, so I knew that person was there, okay? And then there was a safety guy in our building, right, that was also out there, and he just worked in building number 10 of Claydesta, and he was out there with us one morning during the same week of the oil show party, and right in her face with me standing right next to her, just, I don't know how to describe it, hateful, rude. He says, "I got mine last night." You know, and I see her cower with shame, okay? And so I know he was there, okay? And a lot of people were there. A lot of people know about it. You know, like I said, I got this woman telling me it's $1 million underground facility. I believe, and I think what's really probably happening, you got oil companies with a lot of money, maybe even some billionaires there. They don't want it to be found out that they had employees at a prostitution party where a young girl went murdered, because it's going to hurt their stock. So they're paying off April Chandler to steal evidence, and Chief Herman and Chief Robinson to look the other way while they murdered people. Okay, and the city council and the mayor, where they're sent pictures of the secret police, and then they won't reply. Okay, or the attorney general, or more. You know, and but anyways, she comes by here this morning, and there was a story on the news. It was a train wreck or something, and she's telling about the girl that didn't wake up. Okay, and it's because she was complaining. She was crying, whatever. She wanted to prostitute, and you know they murdered that girl because she wanted to prostitute. And I'm like, we got to tell somebody this, you know, because I'm thinking normal person, right? That's what a normal person does, is that you go to the police, you know. She's telling me they murdered this girl, right? And I'm like, we got to go to the police and you know, and tell somebody this so they can arrest them, you know. And she was afraid and told me high-level police were there, okay? And so we're disagreeing about that. I'm on my way to work, okay? We're on the phone, whatever. And I work all day. When I get out of work, long day, I have a phone call, a message, a police officer, Midland police officer, that calls me and threatens to arrest me if I talk to her again. And I was trying to get her to go report this murder that she told me about, okay, that police were involved in. Well, once again, I gave the phone records. Go check the phone records, find out which cop called me. And obviously, that was one of the ones that was at that oil show party where that little girl was murdered, okay? You know, that's pretty simple, right? And so I've never talked to her again since 2010, since around whatever, November, October 2010. I've never talked to her. And so one day I decided to drive down there to the police department myself, by myself as a third party, because somebody told me about a murder that had happened, okay, of this little girl, okay? And so I go up the steps, you know, go in there, and there's a woman, clerk, police officer, whatever, and I get the feeling she recognized me. It was weird. When I walked in the door, it's like, she knows who I am. And, you know, and then, you know, it's like, I need to talk to somebody. We don't have nobody down here, you know, for you to talk to, you know. And, well, what's this about? And I said, well, you know, I didn't want to tell her, you know, and I mean, I wanted to sit down and tell somebody what's going on. And so she gives me the number of a police officer to call. Okay, so I left. I go drive all the way up there, and I get sent away with a phone number. Well, I called that number, and I get a voicemail, and I left a message. And once again, my phone records will prove this for anybody who wants to verify my story. And that cop never called me back, and that was that, you know. And then it was only a couple years ago when I saw in the news where they found the remains of a young girl between 14 and 21. In 2013, they found the remains of that young girl, and I suspect it's that one I was talking about because I mean there wasn't no doubt she wasn't making it up. I knew it happened. I was sure of it. You know, I mean this whole thing lasted a week. I was talking to her every night on the phone. She's coming by my house. She was leaving. She was going to the party. I was talking to her on the phone while she was there and all that. And you know, it's a fact. This was going on. I believe it was going on in this underground facility. And so that's another huge part of this story. And so, anybody got any questions? I'll answer anything you got. let's see. I've been back on posting on YouTube lately, and I've got a pinned comment I put at the top. And one thing, there's certain things that I get asked a lot, okay, and rude comments. There's a lot of people that are on the wrong side here. I'll say that. But one thing is, why haven't you ever got anybody on camera? Well, it's because the cameras are hacked, you know. And ask one here, Serenity. Let me tell the story now, and then we'll get to your question. But anyways, okay, that'd be fine. We can do it private too. But anyways, so these cameras hacked. It took forever. Okay, now I knew the cameras were hacked without knowing how they were hacked. Okay, because you know I knew people were coming in my doors, and I've got videos on that, how I could find out my doors were being open while I was gone. Okay, and cameras watching the door. Well, one of the videos I got proving that the cameras hacked is the cameras watching the door, and the cat food bowl sitting next to it, and I filled up the cat food bowl, and the next morning the cat food bowl was empty, but you never see a cat eating the cat food. Obviously, a cat came and ate the cat food, right? But it never got caught on camera. And what happened was they're freezing the camera feeds, okay? There's a button on the remote that says freeze, and when you freeze it, nothing gets recorded to the DVR, so it appears like nothing happened, okay? Well, this ain't about cat food, it's about that door, okay? They froze the camera feed, and they come in and out of my house. Okay, that's why when I put a rock on the doorknob or whatever, and the rock's on the floor when I get back from work, I know the door's been open. That's just an example. But over and over and over again, I knew they were coming through my doors, but I couldn't catch them on camera. I knew they had that cameras hacked. I didn't know how they had them hacked. And then I'm finally getting a hold of Samsung after the 10th time, after I've been shot, after I've been crippled. And I tell this guy, I said, if I fill up a glass of water and that glass of water empties, I said, how do you explain that? Oh, well, that could only happen if they had local access. Well, I said, they do have local access. They shot me. They're that close. That's how close they are. Breaking my house every day. They set up burglar alarms. Okay, motion detectors. And he kind of felt guilty, and about because I told him I hear I've been shot, and so then he sends me this PDF file that tells me how to access this hidden configuration menu using keystrokes on the remote, like alarm, enter, something, and it's like a key code sheet or whatever, opens up a special configuration menu. I believe that is what they use to configure the hidden network, and then that's what they're using to hack the cameras, okay? I could never get in there because they got me locked out or whatever. But I found it. I'm sure that's what's happening. I already knew it was hacked anyway. And more than that, other second proof that I had was cameras in my attic. Okay, and so I've got multiple cameras sitting around my attic. Okay, and I can hear them moving around. Sometimes they're dropping things, farting, coughing, giggling, falling down. Sometimes light noises, sometimes heavy noises. Just everything. Okay, you can hear them type on the keyboard. And so this is day in, day out. I'm hearing that. And so anyways, they're never getting caught on camera though. And so I've got motion detectors up there that have lights and audio on them, okay? And so they're inexpensive. You buy them at Home Depot. You get in front of them, beep, they go off, okay? That's what I record all the time, okay? Because you get in 10 foot, and they go beep, and they go off, okay? And I got several of them setting off, and flashes a lot, okay? Here's all my cameras set up. I got 2 or 3 cameras watching that same motion detector, okay? They get in front of that motion detector. Well, it's not computer networked, okay? They don't hack it, okay? It goes off, beep, oh, beep, and it starts flashing, okay? I hear it down here, okay? And so I've got a video on where I see it flashing in 2 camera feeds one day, and then the same exact motion detector on another day, and I see it flashing in 3 feeds. So we were missing a feed on this day. You know why? Because they had it frozen. Okay, they froze there's a button on the remote that says freeze. Okay, with software and network, you can freeze it. Okay, that's what they're doing. They're freezing the camera, and when they freeze the camera, then they can walk around, do whatever they want. It looks like nothing's going on. Okay, it's the same thing in the front door. They freeze that camera by watching the front door. Cat comes up, eats the food while the camera's frozen, and you never see the cat. Okay, then they unfreeze the camera. Okay, and then all of a sudden the cat food bowl's empty. You never see the cat, and it's the same thing. They're coming in and out of the doors. You don't see it because they're turning it on, turning it off, etc. Okay, so absolute undeniable proof they're hacking the cameras. That's why we don't catch anybody on camera. But I've already proved a murder attempt, right? If I ain't shot with my gun, I'm shot with another gun, and if I ain't shot with another gun, somebody come to my home and shot me. Okay, and so and then we got multiple people that are You know, said there's tunnels underground facility here. So much evidence, unbelievable. Let me read this here. No. Right, and I can't see more there, Doris, but you're exactly right. You know, nobody wants to follow up on any reports, allegations because they've been bribed or they're worried that they're going to be charged, etc. You know, and but the thing here is we're not talking about letting somebody slide on littering or a speeding ticket, right? This is capital attempted murder. These are serious killers, okay? I suspect they might have money and power and wealth and all that, but I don't care what they got. These people break into your homes and kill you dead, okay? And they plan it in advance so they don't get caught. And now they got caught, and now it's time to pay up, okay? And because they're as long as they're free, they're a threat to me. I mean, and you know, and that's the other thing I get. You need to move. You need to move. And, you know, that's absurd. You know, you think I can move somewhere and they can't figure out where I moved to, right? After I make 100 trips back and forth moving, they don't know where I go, or they stop being killers because I changed houses. They're killers, right? That's what they do. I'm a threat to them because of all this evidence. I've spoken out against them over and over. I'm a witness against them. Okay, I threaten them no matter where I leave. Moving isn't the answer. The answer is stopping them, and the answer is holding them accountable for their crimes. And yeah, obviously we have some corrupt law enforcement. I'm not a cop hater. You know, I'm a supporter of law enforcement. Okay, and I really feel like we have a lot of good police officers that are embarrassed. Okay, they're shamed at what's going on, and the problem is at a high level. Okay, it's a top-down problem, and because they've got a boss and they got a mortgage and all that, and they're told to shut up and sit down. Okay, and I know it's shameful to them because a lot of these police officers are good people that are trying to uphold the law. They're law-abiding people, and they're looking at this situation and they're knowing that this was a capital attempted murder, and they're seeing what's going on and being allowed, and these burglar alarms going off, terrorism stones going on, maim and mutilation, faking x-rays, and the crimes go on and on and on. Murder the last homeowner, murder the little girl, trying to kill me, and more people, you know. Okay, did somebody have a question I missed? It's rolling on my screen if you did, so throw something else up there, and I'll be glad to answer whatever you got. And let me think of what else I post often. This guy, and I don't know if y'all seen this latest video from yesterday harassing the victim. Man, you can't imagine how much of that I got. And, it makes no sense, and that's why I record it. And that's why I record people, And so I have proof to what I have to deal with, I'm sitting here trying to talk to this guy like a decent human being, like he has a brain or nothing. It's real clear. The truth meant nothing to him. The evidence means nothing to him. He's out to cover up a capital crime. They can charge this guy with it, calling me and harassing me like that, and because I'm just sitting there trying to explain to him, Stalker emails, that I'm looking at my YouTube now. That was an interesting video there on Buddy Who has my YouTube channel. And I have another video called Dr. Stalker, okay? And basically what happened, in 2017, I created a video called Killing One Homeowner After Another. It's about Mike Lahan, the last homeowner, okay? And then so I get, somebody reported me, these guys did, and I get kicked off. Well, all of a sudden I start getting emails on my personal email account, okay? And this guy brags that they got, enjoy your week off, we're behind this, all that, okay? So then they send, starting with Keith Turman, a landman, okay? And then a Mark Jones and Terry Gaines, George Washington, Dan Connor. I think there's like 5 different emails. The same person. And later on, he tells me I'm the same person in an email. And there is a bunch of them. I've got a photo album on Facebook called Dr. Stalker, and you can see the list of all the messages the guy sent me. And at first, what he wanted to do was meet me at the Hilton. Okay, it says his name was Sandman Jones. So obviously he's in the oil field business, and frack sand. I guess. Maybe a real name, Mark Jones might be, and but then I'm not going to meet anybody. That's stupid. I live under a death threat. I already survived a murder attempt. He wanted me to go to work for him, whatever. Okay, And so I sent these over to my friend Jordan, and Jordan posted it to my Facebook. Okay, I'm blocked off Facebook, but Jordan posted it to my Facebook so everybody could see that here's this guy here trying to pay me, but he wants me to stop. He wants me to agree to stop my fight against him, and he's going to provide the documents I need. The other thing he said is that he remembers where he met me or seen me in Wallace's Frost Top in the 80s. That's a little hometown restaurant, barbecue place in Hobbs. Nobody would know that unless you'd actually been there, okay? And so obviously that was the truth, okay? So what it's telling me, this guy, this gang has been stalking me since the 80s. And I look back in my life history and I'm thinking, that has been going on. And there's certain events that I haven't even brought up, but I'm starting to look back and I'm thinking, it's just been the same crime ring all along. Because I've known these crimes didn't start here in Midland, okay? The ex-wife had already told me, you were chosen to buy that home, okay? And so, that tells me they started there. But anyway, this guy tells me, it started like in the 80s. Another couple comments, the same stalker, Dr. Stalker. The reason I named him Dr. Stalker was because he made a comment about the Cowboys. He was running down the Cowboys, called them the Cowgirls. Well, obviously he knows I'm a Cowboys fan, Dallas Cowboys. And he's a big Kansas City Chiefs fan. He's bragging about the Kansas City Chiefs in his emails, okay? Well, obviously I don't think he realized that I found a Kansas City Chiefs cap under the cabinet from where I shot. And I knew it had been left there after I was shot because concrete had obviously been poured there after I was shot, when I was in the hospital. And somebody left their cap there, and it was a Kansas City Chiefs cap. Well, this is Dallas country, right? That's a big clue. I got a Kansas City Chiefs cap found under the cabinet from where I was shot. But he's sitting there bragging about how he's a Kansas City Chiefs fan, okay? Boom. That's a big clue, okay? I think that's true. And then the second thing he said about being overseas in medical school is where he learned how to fake x-rays, okay? And once again, it was almost bragging, okay? And, and of course, pride goeth before destruction. But basically, he's telling me that somehow he had this connection to faking my x-rays because my x-rays were faked. Before they took me into surgery, what they did, they took another guy who was shot with a shotgun, missing his heel bone, and they put his name on them x-rays, took me into surgery, and they cut my heel bone out. I was intentionally maimed and mutilated for life to cover up this capital attempted murder. Once again, that's a whole second set of crimes, okay? And I recently posted on that where I call that's what you call the act of torture. If you intentionally cripple a person for life, that's what you call torture. That also carries a life sentence. And more than that, it was done to cover up the murder attempt, so that's accessory to capital attempted murder, okay? Because it's a capital crime because it's done to the commission of felony. So anyway, that was the Dr. Stalker. So I have the stalker emails, and this is a short video, but Dr. Stalker is the longer video on that, okay? $50,000 bribe paid, okay? That's really kind of connects to the Dr. Stalker story because the first email I got was from a guy named Keith Turman. Well, Keith Turman was a landman, and I'm getting the question of serenity, but no, I have nobody lived in Marfa. But Keith Turman was a landman, and his email address said landman, okay? Well, he was in jail at the time, so obviously it wasn't Keith Turman. But after he got out of jail, he called me, and I recorded it. That's that video, the stalker emails, there was this recording, and even the Dr. Stalker was recording for Keith Turman. And he tells me that this is really interesting story right here, okay? He said he was doing land work over by the North Walmart here in Midland, okay? And oil field to lease out the royalties, okay? And I don't know their business, but, they do underground surveys, and looking for oil and all that. And so anyways, he had been told not to, okay, over there by the Walmart. And then he gets arrested and framed by April Chandler after he did that, after he was trying to lease out royalties over by that Walmart. That Walmart is one of the 5 Walmart stores that was shut down in 2015 unexpectedly, for supposed plumbing problems, and yet they didn't have any plumbing permits, so they just sat there empty. It cost them millions of dollars, and it was a bogus story, is what it was. Nobody knows what the real reason was, but it sure wasn't plumbing problems. They didn't lay off all them people and shut down that money-making store overnight because of plumbing problems, okay? And so there were a lot of rumors there was tunnels under there. Well, it's a half mile from my house. I had reported a tunnel here, in 2012, okay? So there was a lot of publicity about that. But anyway, and then he said he had a private investigator because he was fighting this, and that he found that April Chandler was getting lump sums of money, like $50,000 at a time, okay? And the insinuation that it suspected she was on the take getting bribe money. Well, I know she's the last person to have stolen evidence, right, in a capital murder attempt. That's a fact. We know that. I mean, absolute undeniable fact there. Because my voice recorder, April Chandler needs to tell us, she needs to fess up and tell us where that voice recorder is, you know. And if Matt Davis took it, she needs to say that. And we need to go to Matt Davis, okay, and find out where that voice recorder is. But anyways, that's the deal on Keith Thurman. And the last thing he said, was talking about Hale Dunn, okay, 13-year-old Hale Dunn. And I was talking about the girl at the oil show party that was murdered. Remember, I was talking about that earlier, right? And he said, Hale Dunn. And I said, no, not Hale Dunn, because she didn't disappear until a couple months after that, okay? And then right after that, he hangs up the phone like he said too much. And that's where it got me thinking, I wonder if Hale Dunn was at that oil show party. And that would make sense, okay? And the reason it would make sense because, you know, I had more than one person that told me her mom was stripping in the area, okay? One person told me he was taking Hale Dunn to the strip clubs with her, okay? And so I would expect the strippers in the area were also, like my friend, were told to work during that week of the oil show party, okay? They were given a choice, do it or die, right? And maybe bring your daughter, right? And you know, because I think that other young girl was a young girl, you know, so I mean, Hale Dunn might have been at that oil show party in 2010 too. Okay, so any other questions? That was the $50,000 bribe. Home ownership, American Dream, that's another one. Missing man, Rini Escobar Sanchez. I made a video on that recently. I mentioned his name earlier. He went missing 3 months before I moved here. Now remember, the neighbor lived across the street told me that Michael Ahan died in this house, but then she also said somebody else died here before him, okay? And like I said, Rini Escobar Sanchez went missing from Odessa 3 months. He's never been found, okay? And so then in 2013, I contacted Odessa Crime Stopper. News West 9 had a story about him or whatever. And what happened is right after I moved here, there was a death smell on the west side of my lawn. And I found some cut up clothes, whatever. But I didn't know where the previous homeowner had died at, you know, Michael Ahan. And so I didn't call the police at that time. I did walk around the neighbor's house worried that maybe she died. Because every time it'd warm up, I could smell that death smell that was over there, you know. And so that was in 2008, okay? And so then I'm shot in 2012, and then I see that news story from News West 9 about Rini Escobar Sanchez, and I remember the death smell, and they cut up close. And so I write the Odessa Crime Stoppers, and I say, this is a good place to look. They don't look. So I write them again, and then they write me back that time and tell me that I need to contact Midland Police Department. Well, I ain't going to contact Midland Police Department because, you know, that's who I caught inside my home, okay? And so that was that. Well, right after that, they arrest this guy named Jesus, I can't remember his name, and pulled him over for a traffic stop, and he confessed to murdering Rini, okay? Said he would, they buried him over by Moss Road in Odessa. Did a big search over there. Never found the body. Body's never been found. They got a picture of him in Odessa American. I show this all the time. He's like this. He's like he won the lottery, you know. I just confessed to murder, you know. And I'm like, yeah, it sounded like somebody just bribed you. That's what it sounded like to me. And that way nobody come to my home and look, because if they look here, what are you going to find? Under tunnels, underground facility. I've covered all this other mess, okay? And so that's what it seemed like. But he did end up going to jail. I mean, he went to prison, and they never found the body. You know, I mean, as far as I know, Rini Escobar Sanchez might still be married over in the west side of my lawn, and I don't know it, you know. And I also have a print screen of a document I sent to the Odessa American, which copied in the message I'd sent to law enforcement on that. So that's another recent video. Let's see. I'm always doing the burglar alarms going off, and I don't even report all them. Calling the crime victim crazy. I kind of hit on that. I've got a whole video on that, and that was. And I didn't mention that earlier. Basically, a day and a half after coming to my house and stealing the evidence, April Chandler creates a permanent record, attaches it to my name, calling me a paranoid schizophrenic, and I've never been diagnosed with this disease. I don't have it. I'm the crime victim of a murder attempt, right? And then Rosa Rodriguez, she calls the hospital personally and tries to have me committed like she's a doctor, okay? And, you know, and then the mental health of the hospital has got me cleared, you know, because this is absurd. But since then, and then 2 years later, this is really important, I guess. 4 months before the murder attempt, the ex-wife comes in one day, and she sticks her finger in my chest, and she says, here's what you're going to do. You're going to pay me, or you're going to pay for me an apartment, or I'm telling everybody you're crazy. And I said, here's what I'm going to do. I'm selling this house, and this is over. Okay. So I get a hold of my realtor, Janine Pruitt, and I listed my home for sale. Okay, and it was on the market. So all these people want me to sell my home now, right? It was for sale less than 2 months before they tried to kill me. Okay, and I didn't have no bidders, you know, and so, but then they would get back together, and it's like, I want to get a record of this. We're going to make this recorded. She knew it. We made this recorded, and that one part of that conversation, I've got this video out there called "Follow the Money," and I had it transcribed. And it's basically, here I'm talking and I'm saying, here you're telling me that, I'm coming home, you're saying here, there's people crawling across the attic and telling me all these stories and all that. And then you turn around and say, you're going to pay me $1,200, $1,800 a month, or you're telling everybody I'm crazy. And she says, it was a mistake. Greg's the one that told me to do it. She was admitting to extortion. Okay, she admitted to exactly what she did because she was pretending all that time. She was pretending, okay, and she wasn't on my side, okay. Well, and then 2 years after the murder attempt, her and Rosa Rodriguez go to court, and they both testify under oath that I'm delusional. Well, that was the threat. She's recorded admitting to felony extortion. And the threat is she's going to tell everybody I'm crazy. And so here 2 years later, she goes in court and she carries out that threat because I didn't pay the extortion money. Okay. And so I have that video, Follow the Money there. This one here, not even my video. I posted it up there because it got deleted. Another tale of why and where, but mostly who. It didn't get that many views for whatever reason. 161 views on my YouTube. It's incredible. This is a person that's talking to a Hale Dunn blogger and telling what she was told about what happened to Hale Dunn. It has who, where, when, why, and most of this information has been confirmed by other people. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, almost everything in there is right. It tells where she was kidnapped, who kidnapped her. It calls names out, everything, And it just blows me away. The whole Hale Dunn thing, there's no explanation why arrests have not been made for that. It's just absurd. And because I got a half dozen people saying that she was killed in Odessa. And what's really interesting, in 2013, I wrote the Department of Justice, suggested that they come here to my home. They look for these tunnels, underground facility, look for clues for the disappearance of then missing Hale Dunn. Okay, 13-year-old famous cheerleader from Colorado City. Well, 2 days later, her remains are found in Scurry County. Okay, and so now I've got a half dozen people documented, phone calls, screenshots, etc., saying she was killed and buried in Odessa. Well, 2 days after I suggested they come here and look, her remains are found there. Okay, so it was just like Rini Escobar Sanchez. I say, come to here and look, and all of a sudden, AC says, I did it, And the same thing with Hale Dunn. I wrote them and said, come here and look for clues, find this underground facility. And it's like, oh, she's over here in Scurry County. We found her remains, All these years later, well, what the timing, 2 days later, right? And now a half dozen people saying, so they dug her up, as far as I'm concerned, dug her up and moved her over there, and that's a whole story. Serenity asked me what my YouTube channel is. It's Buddy Webb, one word, Buddy Webb, and I've got over almost 600,000 views on videos there. It's an easier place because all the videos are lined up. Almost all these videos are also on Facebook, and I have a lot more views on the Facebook, but they're not so easy to find as they are on YouTube. And so if you do go to my YouTube, go click on the playlist for one. That's real interesting. You'll see one for some of my original videos, Midland, Texas, Tunnels and Crime, 1 through 5. That's a good history set. And another set called Secret Police. That's a radio show I did several years ago. And that gives the background stuff. And then also interesting is if you click on sort it by most popular, then you can go look at the ones, that's had tens of thousands of views. Of course, they're usually the older ones. And there's always newer information out there too, but even all the new stuff that I've been doing, because recently I've been doing a lot of videos and posting them out there. For a while, I was doing every day. I'll tell you, real interesting. The other day I posted this one on Feces in the Attic. Grandi Tech comes by my house, right? And because they're switching my home phone from analog to digital or whatever, and I'm telling my story like I tell everybody, okay? And he tells me about going up in the attic at a home 3 blocks from my home, right? And he's seen human feces up there. He was sure that somebody's living up there. He told the homeowner, he said, somebody's living up there in that attic. They said, was it an animal? He said, no, that's not an animal. There's somebody living up there. And so I said, can I make a video? And, yeah. So I made like a 1-minute video, okay, of him telling me that, because that's one more person, because you can't imagine how many people have told me stories of people in their attic. I got a half dozen calls right off my police scanner of citizens, homeowners calling the police, reporting somebody in their attic. I overhear it, and I make a video on it. Okay, these are, that had nothing to do with me. It's somebody called the police and reported somebody in their attic, and I have that record. And that's just what I overheard. There's no telling how many I've missed, right? And I lived here 2 years before I figured it out. And so I figured there's a whole bunch of homes. There's people living in their attic. They don't even know it. Okay, and I think it's connected to human traffic. I think it's a common crime ring network. And it's bigger than Midland. Over in Carlsbad, New Mexico, right outside my hometown of Hobbs, a woman burned her house down in 2012, claiming people were in the attic. And she ends up going to prison for arson, okay? And I remember reading where she was asking the EMS, the firefighter, did you find anybody? Because she knew for a fact somebody was there. Did you find a body? Whatever, okay? And then I was talking to my friend that's from Hobbs on the phone one night, and she said, I heard they did find a body. Yeah, I bet they did. They found somebody died. That's why she went to prison, because somebody died. She set that home on fire. And what she also said, she'd been calling the police, and the police wouldn't help her. Okay, because the modus operandi here is, as soon as you call the police and report somebody in the attic, they call you crazy. Okay, and so they're going to ruin your entire life and ruin your reputation, and all that. And I believe that many of them know the truth. Okay, because it's bigger than it's going on a lot of places. So I got another video called "People in the Attic Everywhere." Okay, and it's stories from all over, because I've had people from California, Arizona, Colorado, New Mexico, Alabama, and Arkansas, and other states contact me, and many around here, local, definitely many more around here. And like I said, and some of these are recorded phone calls. Some of them, a woman in Alabama sent me a video and showed this crawl space hidden behind a wall. Okay, and and that's the thing I can remember back when all these crimes first started. This is before I shot. I think this was before I shot, and this person, this friend of mine that I met when I moved here, she makes this comment one day. She says, "Yep, so-and-so said that you're saying people crawling up your walls." I said, "I didn't say that, And I was almost like offended, because somebody had spread a lie or whatever that I said that. Well, you know what? They aren't crawling up the walls. That's exactly what's happening. They rigged a wall. They're not crawling up a normal wall. They've got a wall rigged around here, and I've got a video on that called, Finding the Tunnel. You don't need digging. You don't need surveys. All you have to, and I know, as long as I know they're getting in the attic, and there's a lot of proof to that, all you got to do is find the entrance. And you find the wall that has enough crawl space, and you find the tunnel, okay? And that's what's going on here. Okay, but you also find people with guns that are backed up by these corrupt police. Okay, I need police on my side before we do this, and this is much bigger than my home. It's much bigger than a burglar breaking in my house, stealing from me. And when I say stealing, they're stealing services. Okay, I remember my dad when he's still alive. In a conversation we had, was like, "Well, they're not taking anything, are they?" Well, they are. What they're doing is they're stealing service. They're stealing heating, cooling, electricity. They're stealing your sense of security. And then they cut my phone lines and shot me. So don't tell me they ain't dangerous. We know they're dangerous, okay? But they are stealing. And so there's a felony that's called theft of services, okay? And so and that's what they're doing. They're stealing, and they're breaking the HVAC pipes apart, because an attic's not a great place unless you have heating and cooling and light, okay? And that's what they steal from the homeowners, And so I made videos on that, proof of the theft of services, and you see that on there. Anybody got any questions? I don't know how long this has gone. It's been a pretty long video. I'll be glad to answer whatever you got. I'm going to probably take this go live, and I'll post it on my YouTube channel. There's a lot of information I covered here. And thank you for tuning in, everybody listening, and keep praying. God's in charge here. I give him all the praise and glory. And, if anything this has done is has built my relationship with Him closer, and you know, and I think it's a true miracle in life. These people plan my death in advance, and you know, I mean, I think He's doing something big. I believe I know for a fact a lot of bad things have gone on here, and I just think that God's doing something huge here. You know, I really do. You know that's probably even bigger than I even realized, and you know, and that's why I haven't given up. You know, I'm not moving. I ain't shutting up. And I figure, well, you know, I made my peace with God. If they kill me, they kill me. But hopefully, you know, they don't come to your home and you know, kill you and your family. So God bless y'all. Have a good week, and thank you for tuning in. Bye-bye.